Meet George Sakimpa, a millennial with a story that inspires. Born with big dreams and the courage to chase them, he has faced challenges, embraced opportunities, and carved his own unique path. From humble beginnings to the moves that define his journey today, George stands as proof that resilience and vision can take you anywhere. This is his story, a journey of passion, purpose, and unstoppable drive along the corridors of justice.
I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya as well as a certified public secretary. So currently I'm the managing partner at Sakimpa and Partners Advocates. Basically what I do and specialize personally is litigation, and that includes commercial litigation, constitutional litigation, tax litigation and advisory, as alternative dispute resolution, that is arbitration, and so on. So that is what personally I specialize, but the firm obviously does all sort of legal transactions, including commercial transactions as well as conveyancing transactions. Basically, litigation is in a layman's language, let me just say, these are court disputes. For example, if you have a dispute, either it's a civil dispute, even criminal matters fall within the litigation space. So if you commit an offense, you'll be taken to court. That is litigation, and essentially that is criminal litigation. So basically, litigation is just disputes in courts.
The advocate breaks down the difference between a lawyer and an advocate and why it matters in the legal world.
Essentially, you see, I think this is the only profession where you first of all start with a degree and then you transition to do a diploma in law. So once you complete your degree, I think essentially you become a lawyer. And then after that is you go to the Kenya School of Law to pursue a postgraduate diploma in law. And then that is where now the Chief Justice will admit you to the bar as an advocate of the High Court. The law anticipates a situation where you cannot speak for yourself in certain situations, and therefore you need someone who will speak on your behalf, and that is essentially a lawyer. And that's why you hear most of the people say when you talk to them, they tell you, talk to my lawyer. Yeah, essentially someone who will represent your interest, mostly in legal matters, either in court or even in commercial transactions, either in contracts or so on.
From early mornings to late nights, Sakimpa takes us through what a typical day really looks like.
The nature of the work we do is, as I said, I do a lot of litigation. So mostly it involves court appearances. So in the morning you have to appear before a judge, a magistrate, in whichever capacity. Number two, you also have to attend to clients, so that includes client meetings. And then finally, your desk work. You see, at the end of the day, you still need to do the real work that needs to be done. So those are three segments that you'll have to plan your day, so that either you attend court or mostly in the morning, thereafter you can have client meetings. That's where you realize most advocates would be working outside office hours, because during the day, either you're in court, you're engaging clients, but essentially then you'll have to create time for you to do the desk work, which is drafting of documents, submissions, and court papers. So basically, you would find that every day is it's a tough day for a lawyer, I think.
Passion is the fuel behind every journey. He reveals why he truly loves what he does.
I think the fact that every day you wake up to, you see, essentially for a lawyer, it's like someone is paying you so that you take up their problems. So every person has their own problems, different problems. So today you might find that this is a completely different issue. One client might have a new issue that you've never dealt with. You want to get into it and actually to also understand how that transaction works. So I think that is the beauty about it. It's not like it's something very fancy, but I think if you love the law, I think those are things that will make you happy.
To understand the man he is today, let's look back to the boy he once was. George shares what kind of child he grew up to be.
I was just a normal kid. I grew up in the village. Yeah, and essentially in a pastoralist community. Yeah, and I think I would also want to say that I was the first lawyer in my village. Yeah, but I think I grew up just as a normal kid. I went to primary school in the village, and thereafter is when I transitioned to high school. I went to Nanyuki High School, and then I went to the University of Nairobi. I think I need to emphasize the University of Nairobi. Yeah, and then thereafter to the Kenya School of Law until now I was admitted as an advocate. From high school is when I wanted to become a lawyer, and I think someone I used to look up to is Professor Githu Muigai, who was an attorney general in Kenya. I think he's one of the best litigation lawyers I have interacted with, and I think I was very lucky that last year when we were doing the impeachment proceedings for the deputy president, we were in the same case with him, and yeah, he spoke good words about me. I come from a polygamous family, and I think I'm in the middle, as you said. I'm not a firstborn, I'm not a lastborn. I'm hapo katikati. Yes, and I think it's we are so many, and I think that is the beauty about it, because there are so many kids. Everyone does their own thing. So at the end of the day, I think it's really good. I'm not saying that I wish to practice polygamy. I'm just saying it's a good family.
Within the walls of his family home, Sakimpa's story began. Here's how he remembers those days.
The very first time after KCSE exams, I think before the results now. So my dad called me and he asked me, what do you want to study after the results are out? And I said law. And he said, what is the alternative? I told him I don't have an alternative. I've never thought about an alternative. Yeah. And then, so he told me, what if you don't get the required grade for you to pursue law? He said, I told him that for now, let's wait, because I don't have an option at this point. Maybe in the event that I will be unable to get the grade, I will think from that point. But fortunately, I was able to get that grade, and that is why I was able to pursue law.
For every young dreamer, a parent's reaction can shape the path ahead. George reflects on just how important that response truly is.
I might be one of the victims, because I would want my daughter to be a lawyer like myself. Anyway, that's not the point. But the point I want to make is, I think first of all, for parents, I think it's just good for them to give their children to select whichever course they want to do, because some of them actually they only do what their parents want to do, and then thereafter they now start their thing. So you find actually that there are lawyers who have turned to be comedians or DJs simply because that was not their calling. It's just their parents who wanted, perhaps they wanted to be lawyers, they didn't, they were not able, and they decided that I can use this route for me to become whichever person they wanted to become. So, and I think it's not good in my view. I think if we should just allow our children to actually select whichever career they want to do. At the end of the day, every career, I think in my view, if you do the best in whichever career you do, I think it's still rewarding. So I don't think it's appropriate to force your kids to do perhaps what you want to do.
In the heart of his village, the advocate finds purpose mentoring kids and planting seeds of hope for the future.
The last 2 months, I think we had some mentorship program around in the village, and I think close to 3 or 4 kids said that they have seen where I have come this far and they wish to study law. So I think that answers your question, that you see the fact that actually You don't even need to convince someone on if you do the right thing. As I told you, for example, when I used to grow up, I used to look at Professor Githu Muigai. I didn't even know him, but he just used to inspire me, eventually leading me to doing that. And I think that applies to the people who are below us, and I think we should actually hold their hands and support them so that they can also join us on this other side.
Work, passion, purpose. But what about fun? Here's how George Sakimpa unwinds when he's off the clock.
On my free time, I think one of the things is I like traveling and with friends. So I think mostly I'm always on the road. My lady and my lord, we beg your leave to take a commercial break. And you know what? The law is very clear. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is George Sakimpa. We resume back to this new session.
Serious suits, serious faces, but laughter?
There is court banter, in fact, most of the time. And yeah, I mean, if you remember, I think in those impeachment proceedings, there was a clip that was going on where Senior Haminwa told Githu Muigai that I was practicing law before even you were born. So that is just part of the banter. I'm saying, yeah, there is, but mostly when you're addressing court, it's serious business.
Every journey has defining moments. For George Sakimpa, the highlight of his career stands as a testament to passion and perseverance.
We were about 15 lawyers who are representing the, as you say, former deputy president, from the National Assembly to the Senate and to the High Court to the Court of Appeal, and currently we are before the Supreme Court. So I was among the 20 lawyers who are representing the deputy president in those impeachment proceedings, and I was the youngest, just to be clear, among those 15 lawyers, including senior counsels we were led by senior counsel Paul Muite. Interference from the respondent. It was really good. Number one, the networking that came with it. And you see, because I was the youngest one, every time I'm the one, George, do this, because I was the youngest, and I really enjoyed it. And even in terms of the opportunity to address court, they have to say, okay, the youngest has to address court. So I think that is the highlight, and I think those seniors are really good. Some of them, they are really good.
Law on TV versus law in real life, the legal mind sets the record straight.
The normal court practice is not really as depicted in suits. Let me start with that, because everyone thinks that when you become a lawyer, you become like Harvey Specter. It is completely different when it comes to, in fact, it's more rigorous, and it's not as formal as the way, you know, the way things just unfold in suits. But in court, there are procedures, number one, that are in place. You don't just wake up and go to a hearing. You see, there is a process. You draft documents. After documents, you get now a date for you to go to court and have a hearing. So, but I think to inspire people, it's kind of the same setting, but differently. In real practice, vitu kwa ground ni different from suits.
Every dream has its hurdles. The Courtroom voice shares the challenges that tested his resolve.
Transitioning from employment to now starting my own law firm, I think that is where the issue is. I think it requires a lot of integrity. It requires patience. It requires hard work for you to actually have a law firm running. So you really have to do more than you used to do in employment, because you see, at the end of the day, you didn't even know where clients, when clients will come in, how they come in. You just need to work as an employee. But now when you start your law firm, you have to think about, how do you get clients? How do you have clients coming in consistently? Yeah, those are the things that actually really stressed me at the first, I mean, when starting a law firm. And obviously the fear of the unknown. You know, you are transitioning from employment. At the end of the month, you're very sure that you'll be paid. Now you're starting your own law firm. You have no idea how you're going to pay your office bills, your home and family bills. But I think what I can say is I think things will just stabilize as you go on, and I think it requires courage. I know there are so many advocates, young advocates out there. They are stuck in employment for that reason, the fear of the unknown. You have no idea how you're going to start that law firm, how you're going to maintain your lifestyle. You know, as a lawyer, you can't just be like a lay person. You have to maintain some standard as an advocate. So I mean, those are the issues I mean every young lawyer is going through. But I think at the end, it is a rewarding career.
Through trials, triumphs, and turning points, the dreamer turned doer shares the lessons that continue to guide his path.
Most of the young people, they don't embrace the long game. You know, you want shortcuts, you really want things to get better, you want success to come in very easily. Like you want to drive this sort of Mercedes Benz, which is being driven by someone who has worked for 20 years. So I mean, you have to have that patience for you to be able to actually to get there. I think shortcuts for real success, let me say real success, it requires patience for you to get there.
At the heart of his journey lies a guiding mantra he lives by every day.
Problems are opportunities in disguise. That's what I would say, because I try to look at even a very minute positive in every problem, because I believe that, and that's why I'm saying in every problem, it is an opportunity in disguise. You just need to be patient and to look at every dimension and angle for you to get the right opportunity.
For George, the fight against joblessness begins with bold ideas and practical solutions. Here's how he believes change can happen.
We have had a consistent, I think for so long, we tuma tu CV, tutaona venye tutakupanga, and they never materialize. So it's just better if there is no opportunity, you just tell someone for now there is no opportunity. And this happens even to me in the law firm. So many young people, they come in, when there is an opportunity, you tell them there is an opportunity. When there is none and they come, you don't give them false hope. You just tell them that at this point we don't have an opportunity, but should any arise either in the near future, then we can contact you, we can take their number. But that traditional way of fooling people, if I may say, I think it's not the right way to go.
From mentorship to collaboration, what's it like working with the best in the game?
There is that culture in almost all organizations where people who are, let's say, born in that organization, they are given less treatment as compared to, let me say, people who come in from other organizations. I think they are just like, the other day you're just a kid here, you just came in the other day. So in terms of even the compensation that you get, it's not commensurate to when someone else comes to that organization, even if you have the same experience, same everything. And I think there comes a time you just need to also switch and change. If of course, the first thing should be, I think organizations should also embrace a culture where they are able to also put in a structure where, as you say, interns are able to have their way to the top of the organization. But if that is not the case, I think, as you know, Gen Zs, we know them for being very brave. I think when it comes that moment, as you say, I think it's just time for you to look at other opportunities rather than to stagnate there for years, and if there is no progress, that is. But I think it should start with the organizations.
In today's workplaces, millennials often risk being overworked or undervalued. George Sakimpa explains how to set boundaries so that you don't get used.
It is very key for you to actually study your contract before I mean, essentially, traditionally, there was a clause that they used. It's called a non-compete, and it is very common actually for journalists. You find that there is a clause in the contract that says that if you quit this station, you can't join the other station, let's say for 6 months. So what would you be doing for the next 6 months? It's either they offer for them to pay you during that period where they're saying it's an non-compete period, or you can negotiate for either removal of that clause in its entirety or to reduce the period. So that's why I'm saying it's important to study. Number two, it's the notice period. So you find there are some contracts, employment contracts, where you are told for you before you quit, you either give a 3 months notice or even a 6 months notice, failure to which you pay in notice in lieu. So those are harsh clauses that you need to actually look at. And the sad reality is some of these contracts are not, like the employees will always, they don't have that opportunity to negotiate. You are given a standard contract where you are not expected to negotiate. You are told these are our terms, the only thing we can negotiate is your salary. It is very unfortunate. I think we should also, and that is why when you look at the employment court, they lean mostly towards favoring the employees for that reason, that they do not have a fair ground when it comes to contract making. It is important for the youths to embrace the long game, as I said, because that is what I value the most, that we must be able to be very intentional in terms of us mastering our craft. So that first of all, master your craft. And when I say that, it's because when a client comes to you, that is what they want to see, that this is a lawyer who understands what they are doing, they know their craft, and therefore that is when they'll be able to entrust you with your work. So I think for the young people, let's embrace the long game.